It's back on the road for the Orange and Blue. They are in the Pacific Northwest, and tonight they are taking on the Seattle Kraken. We get you set for the Oil and the Kraken right here on the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show. Live on location, Boston Pizza, Clairview. Hi, everybody. Tom Gazzola with you. You're probably watching Toronto's team take on the Dodgers in the World Series, bringing Canada together. And it's a raucous crowd here at BP Clairview. Great to be on location. Big thank you to Jason and Lisa and the entire staff here. You're going to hear the crowd get excited. They're liking what they're seeing from the Jays, evening it up at 1 in the bottom of the third inning. If I'm spoiling it for some people, I apologize, but it is the World Series for crying out loud. All right, we're going to get you ready for the hockey game as well. We're going to have Mike Benton join us from the Kraken Audio Network. Cass will stop by and bring us Game Changers. And we got Benny Thompson back at EST Global HQ. Of course, GCL Diesel, providers of the best diesel engine components around, from turbochargers to injectors, fuel pumps to sensors. They are the critical engine component experts, proud to serve Edmonton and Northern Alberta for over 50 years. You can text us 780-218-9999. You can get into the nasty chat as well. We want to hear from you. Big shout out to everybody, all the nasties that came out. I'm looking around. I see Cal in the park and Sarah and their daughter, and I see I saw the Wolf. Oh, the Wolf is here. He's got a good contingent. Ali, I should have said. And then I see Atif and his buddy, and so we're gonna have a lot of fun. Phil's here with some buddies as well. So a good group of nasties that are here as well, mixing with the locals and having a good time at Boston Pizza Clairview. Benny Thompson, how are you doing back at EST Global HQ?
Doing great. Excited for another game tonight with Oilers versus Kraken. It's a great time for the Oilers to redeem themselves after their play. The past couple of games, I think both of their wins from this past week have been lackluster. You'd like a little bit better performances, I think, in both games. And but they're, I guess, lucky in a way because they've strung together 2 wins and they have a chance to make it a 3-game streak tonight against the Kraken, who've started off pretty well this year. So we'll see. Yeah. But I'm just hoping for a better performance of the team tonight.
4-2-2 is the Kraken record. The Oilers 4-3-1 thus far. You're right. They haven't been playing particularly inspired hockey. Shocking everybody, and by that I mean shocking absolutely nobody. Of course, I'm being facetious, is the fact that the lines for the Oilers are completely different. We want to get your thoughts going into this game, so get into the text line as well as the inbox. I do want to say, I forgot to mention this, Benny. Jason and Lisa here at Boston Pizza Clairview.
Yep.
Not only do they do prizes, just like the crew at Boston Pizza Westgate, where we are tomorrow night for Curtis's birthday. So be sure to join us if you're on the West End, if that's closer for you. They have 2 pairs of tickets to give away to Oilers games coming up. So we're going to do one draw. Yeah, one draw in the first intermission. We're going to do another draw at the end of the game. There are a couple of tables open if you're close by and want to watch the Jays game in the World Series, and then you want to catch the Oilers game and come say hi, hang out with some nasties, and maybe get some prizing, and maybe get a pair of Oilers tickets. We have 2 sets for 2 different games. I think the first one is for the Mammoth, and then I'll clarify and figure out where it might be for the game after that against the Rangers. So I'll check with Lisa on that. But 2 sets of tickets that will be given away tonight here at Boston Pizza Clairview, as well as a bunch of prizes. So come on down. Great. They've got game day specials. And you know what? Good vibe. And this 170-inch TV behind me is absolutely ridiculous.
It looks like you're at the Sphere in Vegas right now. That's what I saw. Like, it just looks huge.
It's Edmonton's version of the Sphere in Vegas. Okay, that is exactly what it is.
Trademark that.
Anyway, big thank you to BP's Clairview and everybody who has come out tonight. You know, we appreciate you guys so very much. I haven't had a chance to go around and talk to everyone too much. I've said hello really quickly, but I will get the chance to mingle and say hi to everybody. So without further ado, before we bring Cass on, he'll be hopping on in a couple of minutes here. We have some lines to get to because there has been a shuffle for the Oilers, and all right, they like that out. They're liking Gosman right now. Let's go to the lineups for the Oilers. You got Connor McDavid centering Ike Howard and Andrew Mangiapane. Leon Draisaitl between Matthew Savoy on the left side and Vasily Podkolzin on the right side, according to Daily Faceoff. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins centering Adam Henrique and Jack Roslovic, and then Noah Philp between David Tomaszek and Trent Frederick. Did you notice this? They've got lefties playing the right side and righties playing the left side, because they did it with Tomaszek and Frederick here with Philp. Yeah. And they did it with Savoy and Podkolzin as well.
I remember, I think Frederick said early in camp that he actually prefers the right wing over the left. So I wonder if that's something.
Could be.
Yeah, and then, Savoy has shown he can play both wings. I guess so has Pods. I don't think it'll overly matter. But
why is that?
I guess. But
I'm kidding.
I know. But I wonder if that's what's actually going to roll out today, like on the draws specifically, like just seeing if they're on their off hands. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I'll let you read the rest of the lineup before I give my opinion on the lines. But.
Oh, okay. Sure, I can do that. Let's go to the defense. Matthias Ekholm with Evan Bouchard. Darnell Nurse with Jake Wallman. Brett Kulak paired up with Ty Amberson. Let's go to the Seattle Kraken. This is what we're anticipating from them tonight. We've got Matty Beniers between Berkeley Catton and Jordan Eberle. Chandler Stevenson centering Mason Marchman and Eli Tolvanen. Shane Wright between Jaden Schwartz and Yanni Newman. And then Ben Myers with Ty Karche and Ryan Winterton. A couple of injuries for the Seattle Kraken. You got Vince Dunn with Adam Larson on the back end. Ryan Lindgren with Brandon Montour, who's back in action for the Kraken. Josh Mahura with Jamie Alexiak. And that brings us to your starting goalies for tonight's game. For the Oil, we're anticipating, or it's actually confirmed, Stuart Skinner getting the nod. Joey Decord anticipated to get the start for Seattle. Skinner this season, 2-2-1, 216 GAA, 908 save percentage, 1 shutout. And then for Decord, 4-1-1 record, 256 GAA, 910 save percentage with 1 shutout thus far this season. So there is your goaltending matchup as well as your lineups. And Betty, go ahead. Tell us what you think about the lineups, and then we'll get into the injury report.
Okay. This is also going to lead to my question of the day.
All right.
You want to give an update on
that? We got a strikeout from Gosman.
Nice.
For the third out. Yeah, there you go.
So the Oilers are splitting up Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid today. I had a take on the pregame show a couple games ago where I said, if they're going to continue to suck, play them together. I feel that they have both taken steps in the right direction. I still don't think they're fully there. But obviously late in that game against Montreal, when they split them up and they went McDavid, Draisaitl, and Nuge on the third line, things started to work out for them. So question of the day is, do you still think that McDavid and Draisaitl are better split apart? You can text that in, 780-218-9999, or get in the NAS chat. My opinion on the lines. I love them.
All right, we want to hear from you. Okay. You like them? Go ahead.
Sorry, I love them. This is exactly what I don't know if exactly how I laid out, but it's pretty damn close. You're giving Ike Howard a chance on the first line, which I think he's earned. Mangiapane's fit well with McDavid, I feel like, so I like that connection. Obviously, Savoy and Draisaitl, Podkolzin, I think are the perfect wingers for Leon. Fast guys, tenacious, get the pucks for Leon, and then get open. You just hope that at least one of those two wingers has some finishing ability. And then the third line of Nuge, Roslovic, and Henrique, was specifically with Nuge and Henrique, it's two guys very good in their own end. So with some offensive upside, I personally really like the lines, but yeah, that's kind of my rant.
All right, a couple of texts have come in. I know a lot of people are watching the Jays game, but those who have joined us, we appreciate you. We see you. We hear you. We feel you. James says the Oilers shuffle more than a jazz drummer. And then Right in the Pine says split all the way. Wheels. That's Atif says, come down to Boston Pizza Clairview. I'm here. Yes, thanks for coming out, Wheels. And then Supersized Indiana Jones says, they let you in, Wheels? Oh, yeah, he's got a VIP spot. Looking good over there. All right, before we get to Matt Kassian, we're going to give you the injury report really quickly, brought to you by the Advantage Sport Medicine and Physiotherapy crew. Connor McDavid's got a team of specialists. You've got a bag of frozen peas. Get the same locker room approach that's trusted by the best in the game at Advantage Sport Medicine. Book your assessment today, www.advantagesportmed.ca, or call 780-460-9977. For the Oilers, Zach Hyman, IR, wrist, obviously. They're still targeting November 1st for him. Kasperi Kapanen, IR knee. Alec Regula, he obviously dealing with upper body injury since he got that big hit, or received that big hit from Evander Kane a couple weeks ago. Matthias Janmark, IR, undisclosed. As for Seattle, this is their injury situation. They are dealing with a couple of things. Certainly, the Kraken have no Capo Caco. He's on IR with a hand issue. Jared McCann also on IR. Freddie Gaudreau has been out for a little while, 4 to 6 weeks actually. Upper body injury. Riker Evans, upper body, he's on IR. And Max McCormick out for the 25-26 season, undergoing hip surgery. Young guy getting hip surgery. So I'm just reading that. I'm like, ugh, that's no bueno. So there you go. There is your injury report, brought to you by Advantage Sport Medicine and Physiotherapy. Cass, thumbs up if you're good to go. I saw you shuffling around there. You're good to go, Cass? No, I don't think he's good to go. He's texting me. So in the meantime, I'll read some texts. Let's go to this one. It says, if the Oilers could score some goals tonight to show the Jets the template of how to beat the Kraken, I would appreciate that. Who's that coming in from? No name on it. Is Cass okay over there? He's going to reconnect. Yeah, there you go. Cass, are you okay now? He's good to go. Let's bring him on. All right, let's get Matt Kassian on here, our game analyst, as we get to Game Changers, brought to you as always by Damon Bunting Real Estate. Damon Bunting, consistent top-producing realtor in the greater Edmonton area for over 18 years. He and his team would love to help you find that right home or make the move from your current home. Check him out, DamonBunting.com, or visit his Instagram at Damon Bunting Real Estate. Hello, Cass. How are you, sir?
I'm good. I'm good. It was a busy day in the Kassian household. A lot of tournaments going on and swim meets going on, and I had to go take a class that taught me what a blue line was to be able to coach some tournaments. So I learned what a blue line was today.
Lucky. I didn't know you didn't know.
No,
what
I know.
A blue line was.
Yep. The instructor was great. Told me early on when I was designing a drill that my drill was a bad idea. So I guess I'm in a good place. Not cut out to be a coach, but
pardon me. Did they know that you played in the National Hockey League by any chance?
No, I did. I don't think so. And we would have it wasn't the situation to respectfully disagree with their opinion on what they thought with it. But it was just kind of funny. I was giggling to myself. I'm like, yeah. I could make a pretty good argument for the drill I was trying to implement and the reasons I think it would work. But it was good as actually and very, very good, very helpful for a lot of people, those courses. So it's I don't want to disparage him at all, or the instructor. She actually did a wonderful job. But it was, it was some learning that I've known for a very long time. That was very, very repeat and difficult to keep my eyes open, but that's okay.
Cass, you taking the high road is so you, and well done, sir, when you could have just big dogged all of them.
Yeah, it was. You know what? That isn't good for anybody. It's not good for myself doing those things. So, yeah, we just have to check the pride at the door a little bit and just always try to learn something, which is okay. Much like the Edmonton Oilers are going to try to learn something tonight against the Seattle Kraken in Seattle.
Okay, do you want to start with the question of the night really quickly, or do you want me to dive into Game Changers? Up to you,
we can
Cass.
do question of the night first. That's
all
good.
Right. Benny, lay it on the question of the night for everybody one more time.
The question of the night is, do you think that Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl are best split? Obviously,
yes.
Yeah, I'm with you, Cass.
I think, generally speaking, yes. They, in key moments, having them together, absolutely. I'm a fan of that. In certain situations, down late in the game, for example, throw them together, get them out there. Generally speaking, I do think it is better to have them split. I think you're a deeper team. Generally speaking, you get more people involved. Generally speaking, I typically like that more than the nuclear option.
Yeah. Okay. Nicely done. Here we go. Let's get into Game Changers. Point number 1 tonight against the Seattle Kraken for the Edmonton Oilers. Cass, tone setting.
Yeah, well, I think this is a huge tone-setting game for the next 10 games for the Edmonton Oilers. You finally had a period that you played a little better in. Now you got some help from the officials. Great. Your power play scored, you had some jump, and you won a hockey game that you really through the first two periods didn't deserve to be in. So for me, for Edmonton, it's a real opportunity to set the tone for your next block of games. You came back home for one, you're on the road again for a couple here, you're starting to play Western Conference games. It's just, I think, a really important night for that. Now, on the flip side, I think this is a very important game for the Kraken to try to establish their identity a little bit more. Now, they've been very, very good to start the year. Very responsible, very structured, very good defensively, which isn't exactly maybe what most of us expected out of the Seattle Kraken coming into the season. We expected them to be okay, but kind of just okay. Now they've gone out. They've started to try to acquire people. They want to make a push. They want to get back into the playoffs. But for most of us, wasn't a team we had picked to be there. But the start of the season has been very good for the Seattle Kraken. Now it's a big game for them, a large test for them with an Edmonton team that, although the offense hasn't been potent so far this season, guys, if Edmonton turn it around, their offense has the potential to be always potent. And with some of the guys that have had a tremendous amount of success against Seattle in McDavid and Draisaitl, it's a big test here for the Seattle Kraken. So it really is an identity type of game for both teams here, which makes it exciting because I think you have two teams that are both trying to communicate both to themselves as well to the other teams in the division and the conference what kind of team they actually are.
The Kraken guys 4-2-2, and people giving them a lot of love, being like, "Oh, that's a great start." Edmonton, although it has been a bumpy road so far, 4-3-1, and we're going, what the hell is going on with this team? I know it kind of tells you about where the expectation level is for both franchises and where they're at right now, but they're really pretty tight. And I mean, if Edmonton wins a regulation, they're ahead of the Kraken. It's like, is this a good start? Or I suppose it's relative, but we would like the Oilers to do it in a much more efficient manner, I suppose. Anyway, I just wanted to point that out. Benny, did you want to add anything to point number one and ask Cass anything about that?
Yeah, that's pretty bang on. I mean, like this, like I mentioned a little bit earlier, like this, they've won 2 games in a row, but it hasn't really felt like an Oilers win necessarily. It's felt sloppy. They're still trying to get their groove going. And this is a great tone setter. This is a winnable game tonight and a winnable game tomorrow, right? Like, not to look too far ahead, but that Vancouver game tomorrow is a game where I know they get up for, because look how they played in Edmonton when they played them. Probably their only great game of the year so far. And yeah, the Kraken have started off well, but this is, once again, whether you think they're going to make the playoffs or not, the Oilers are, on paper at least, the better team. So, yeah, 100%. This is a tone-setting game, and you hope that they can make it 3 wins in a row tonight and hopefully play a little bit better.
All right, let's move on to point number 2 on Game Changer site with Matt Kassian. Drano, Cass, what do you mean?
You gotta get the middle unclogged. The Seattle Kraken love to clog up the middle of the ice. Their bread and butter so far this season has just been that stifling game. They don't try to push the envelope that much offensively, but as we saw in the game, if you saw any of the highlights or watched the game against the Winnipeg Jets the other day, the Seattle Kraken love to try to slow you down. They just want to impede. They want to make you skate outside. They want to make you take the long way around. They really try. It's not like it's a straight up 1-2-2 trap, left wing lock, a la, Jacques Lemaire from the New Jersey Devils in the 90s. It's a little bit different than that, but they do really want to slow you down. And for the Edmonton Oilers, your antidote to that, the Drano to unclog the ice, is speed in transition. That's going to be there. And it's funny because it's a completely different type of speed in transition than like the game that we see against the Montreal Canadiens, where that's just like, that's fast both directions. Right? Like Montreal is going to attack. And so if you are able to be quick in transition back the other way, you could get some odd man rushes. Now against Seattle, they don't give up very many odd man rushes. And if you're quick in transition, it's not that you're going to get odd man rushes. but you're actually going to have the puck in the offensive zone as opposed to turning it over, which is what they're really trying to do by clogging up that neutral zone. For Edmonton, again, I think that speed and primarily speed through the middle of the ice. So look for Edmonton centers in particular, if it's a neutral zone transition, to try to be getting some of that low speed, low momentum. And we see guys like McDavid and Draisaitl do this. So let's watch for that. Watch for them getting a little bit lower when they're coming back into their own zone, trying to create a little bit of extra space, an extra foot or two between them and the defenders to try to get the speed to break out and through the neutral zone, to unclog the hairy mess that sometimes can be the Seattle Kraken in the neutral zone.
Hey, listen, we did not need that visual of a clogged sink or shower drain. Thank you for adding that in there. Appreciate that. And by that, I'm being completely sarcastic. An update really quickly. Gosman got Kike Hernandez, struck him out, and then they got the fly out. So it's still tied at 1. I think we're going to the bottom of 5 over at the Sky Dome. It is Game Changers with our game analyst, Matt Kassian. I'm live on location at Boston Pizza Clairview, Cass, and a couple of pairs of tickets to give away tonight to some upcoming Oilers games. There's going to be one for the Mammoth game, and I believe the second one, I'm going to confirm it, is for that Rangers game that's coming up at the end of the month. Before we dive into point number 3, so many road games for the Oilers this month. Good, bad, indifferent? What do you think, Cass?
I mean, thus far, it's kind of been bad, hasn't it? Like, normally I would say indifferent to it, but they haven't played great on the road. That road trip wasn't fantastic. So I'm going to say bad for now because that Eastern swing was ugly. The Eastern swing was ugly, so I'm going to say bad. Now, a chance here for the rest of it to maybe make it a little good, a little bit better, a lot better, maybe, potentially. But thus far, it's kind of like, hasn't really been great. Or as I once heard somebody say, it's been kind of blah, 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 blah.
I know that guy.
Yeah, no way. What? What's his name? I'm pretty sure, if you look at the schedule, I'm pretty sure the Oilers' last Eastern away game is by the end of December. Yep. So heading into the new year, I'm pretty sure it is only West road games, which I find pretty interesting, and I don't know if I love it or hate it, because it's just like, I guess for the playoffs, you're only going to be playing Western teams, so you're not having to you can stay in that Western time zone for a long period of time there. But I don't know. Schedule to me is meh, like you were talking about earlier. It's just like it's meh. Like I don't really care. Like, go win the hockey game.
Spell that, please.
MEH. That's how I spell it in our clips.
Meh.
They go out. Meh. Yeah, but
meh. Got it.
But yeah, I don't know. They however the schedule. Everyone's got hard schedules. It's 82 games. Everyone plays them. Go win your damn games.
All right, it is Game Changers with our game analyst, Matt Kassian. Game Changers is always brought to you by Damon Bunting Real Estate. Point number 1, tone setting. Point number 2, Drano. Point number 3, and I'm curious about this one when I saw it, Cass. Seattle struggles.
Seattle struggles. One of the few spots they've been struggling has been on the penalty kill. Now they don't take a lot of penalties. They've been very good about staying disciplined and staying out of the box. But when they have made the trip, they have made the journey, they have been forced into the box of shame. They've been one of the worst teams in the league as far as the penalty kill goes. Not as bad as Edmonton was at the start of last season, but they're hovering just over 71% at 71.4%. So again, not a group that takes a ton of penalties, but a group that really struggles on the penalty kill, which is kind of odd considering that they're bread and butter, as mentioned earlier this season, has been that defensive side of the game. Shorthanded, they haven't been great. And Edmonton, picks up a couple power play goals the other day against Montreal, gets some momentum there, maybe has some mojo back, some life in that power play. It's I think a big opportunity, especially if Seattle does do a good job of clogging up the neutral zone, slowing you down. Well, maybe an area you can try to expose them if you do get an opportunity on the power play is when they're shorthanded, because Seattle's just not that good shorthanded right now.
Really quickly, just as a refresher, what you're alluding to, Cass, there is, they're 25th, Seattle, on the PK, 71.4%. And then their power plays 14th, middle of the pack, 21.7%. But looking at this penalties-wise, the Kraken take the 18th most penalties. or they're 18th at 9.9 minutes per game. Edmonton first. They don't take a lot of penalties. They're at 5.5 minutes per game. So just a bit of a discrepancy there. We'll see how that all plays out tonight. There's been a couple of games. Actually, there's been 3 or 4, it feels like, where either the Oilers had like one power play but didn't have to go on the kill, or one kill. So it's kind of been interesting in that regard thus far. Okay, Benny, did you want to jump on anything there? Because I have a couple of texts that I want to get to eventually here.
Yeah, the Oilers power play got going near the end of that Montreal game. I'd like to see it continue against a pretty bad PK like Cass was alluding to there so far this year. So, let's hope they get to them tonight.
All right. You can text us 780-218-9999. Get to the nasty chat as well. JB sending this in regard to the question of the night. In regard to the split of McDavid and Draisaitl, they're on their own lines. We like it. All three of us, I think, are in agreement here. JB says, I am also in the keep 97 and 29 on separate lines mantra. I even suggested they should be split up on the power play to get the chemistry developing between all the new forwards. How about that one, Cass and Benny, on the power play to split them up, even though it clicked last game?
Nope. But
Cass is shaking his head.
But it's funny, on Dusty's show, I want to say Thursday or Wednesday, so one of those days, Dusty and Trev did a draft of power plays. Like if you were to split McDavid and Draisaitl, I think it was Dusty was McDavid and Trev was Draisaitl. They drafted their power plays. It actually didn't look too bad. Obviously some young guys got some looks and stuff, and but yeah, no, that's I understand. There's a lot of people that have heavily criticized the whole McDavid's going around the edges. He's going to find Draisaitl in that same spot every time and all that stuff. But it's worked for years. This has been one of the best power plays of all time. Specifically that 1 year. So I would say no to that, but I appreciate the question. That was a good thought.
Yeah. Not a chance. Your power play's too good. Has been too good. You want those guys together on the power play.
How about Ryan Nugent-Hopkins second in team scoring right now with 9 points, 5 goals, 4 assists. He's a -3 with 4 penalty minutes. Connor McDavid a goal and 10 assists, leading the charge. And then that Leon Draisaitl fella, 7 points, 5 goals, 2 assists through 8 games this season. Edmonton 4-3-1. Seattle 4-2-2. These two teams collide for the first time this year. Cass, where is the Kraken and what is their direction? Where are they going? How do you kind of look at this franchise? I know it's young, but it's had struggles the last couple of years after knocking off the defending Stanley Cup champion Colorado Avalanche a few years ago.
Yeah. Maybe a little bit of an outlier year, that one. Listen, I go back to the expansion draft, and I wasn't a huge fan of their draft. I did not like some of the players they selected. I did not understand some of the players they selected, and it wasn't like they were making deals around it. Some of them I was just straight up like, what are you doing? So there's that, which I think put them on a more difficult foot early on. You have some players not panning out, some high draft picks that haven't panned out, like a Shane Wright, who's come around a little bit as a player. He's starting to play well, has had some good success at the start of the season. But I think for them, they were really hoping that he would be an early catalyst to be that top-end skill player, like high-end, high-talent, all-star caliber player that can help transform the franchise or just take you to the next level. And that just hasn't materialized for them. And I think that's been the biggest thing, which can be for younger franchises in particular, is how do you get that star power in early on that's going to kick it to the next level? Because it's still a really by committee team. You look the last number of years, Seattle, their scoring, their opportunity has all been by committee. They haven't quite got the guy or the guys yet. And I think for the franchise, you're going to kind of see them languish a little bit until they find a way to either draft and develop the guy or bring in via trade, or, Shane Wright turns into him actually, or whatever the case may be. They just don't have the it factor yet. And I think that to me is going to be the biggest thing.
Well said. very much kind of like not stuck in neutral, but it just seems like kind of just there. Right?
No, they don't have the next gear available to them. Right? Like they're not even like neutral. It's like they're just kind of chugging along, but they don't have, if we're going to like, I don't know, F1 terminology, they don't have DRS, right? Like they can't hit the punch it button that's going to rocket them past people.
Drop that wing, baby. Drop that wing. We'll see if eventually they find that, but doesn't look like it right now, although they have gotten off to a good start. Cass, fantastic as always. Go watch some baseball. Go watch some hockey. And we'll catch up with you on the post-game show. How does that sound?
That sounds wonderful. We'll talk to you guys then.
Excellent stuff. There's our game analyst, Matt Kassian, with Game Changers, brought to you by Damon Bunting Real Estate. Text us 780-218-9999. Get to the nasty chat as well. We're live on location at Boston Pizza Clairview. Pretty packed in here. There are a couple tables left if you want to come down and watch the baseball game and then eventually the hockey game. Like I said, there's going to be some prizes given away tonight, including 2 pairs of tickets for some upcoming Oilers games. The first one for the Mammoth game coming up next week. That's on Tuesday. And then you got the game on the 30th against the New York Rangers. All right, Benny, we're going to go and catch up with my good buddy Mike Benton. We pre-taped Mike because he is live on the air for the Kraken pregame show right now. But without further ado, here's our good friend from the Kraken Audio Network, Mike Benton, who I caught up with just a few minutes prior to hopping on for the pregame show. Pleased to be joined, as always, by my good friend and colleague, Mike Benton out of Seattle, the Kraken Audio Network, hosts the pre- and post-game shows. You can see him doing Mariners coverage. Mike, I apologize. Toronto's team, which has endeared itself to our nation. I refuse to call it Canada's team. It's a kind of a running joke. Got by the Mariners, and I know you like the Mariners. You respect them. You cover them. But we're watching the Jays in the World Series here as we await the Oilers and Kraken. What was that series like in the Seattle area?
Yeah, Tommy, too soon. Thank you for taking the Band-Aid and ripping it like right off the wound, my friend. No.
For you, anything.
I mean, jokes are jokes, and we all joke because we're brothers in hockey, right? But, if I can crystallize it this way, Tom, it was a series, I think, that was really a watershed moment for what the Mariners can be, I think, for this sports community long term. It has been a long, long time. Ongoing for 24 years, ever since they really had a taste of going this far and this deep into the postseason. And I think for me, the privilege of being able to be down there in the trenches, so to speak, was to just really, I think, understand just the gravity of the moment and how much it really meant to every player in that clubhouse. And I'll tell you what, I'll never, ever forget what it looked like, what it felt like, what it smelled like, seeing guys pop champagne bottles about probably 10 feet away from you and then just getting your clothes ridiculously soaked. But, you're basically in there to capture that moment, and you kind of almost felt like, you don't want to go this far because, of course, it is the world of journalism, but you are, kind of like interacting as one. And I think to really get into that situation where you're able to, I think, explore the deepest parts of their baseball soul and learn from them as far as what it meant. It was an invaluable experience. And I think for many who had grown up here for such a long, long time. My dad was a fan of this team, still is, going back to 77, was a big Seattle Pilots fan for the 1 year that they were here before they moved to Milwaukee. But then there are others that I work with, too, who are diehards, who are in their 20s, Tom, and have no idea what postseason baseball is like. And I think for them to be able to experience this firsthand, it really captured this entire by storm. The players and the Kraken really got into it. There were several who were at that historic ALDS Game 5, and we've learned again that when one sports team succeeds, the other is galvanized by it. In this case, the Kraken and even the Seahawks as well. So it was a fun thing to watch and to learn, and I think for many that they're hoping that, assuming that they can re-sign guys like Josh Naylor, that this is only the beginning of something bigger.
Hey, I want to say this. Great pull and reference on the Seattle Pilots that most people don't even know existed for a season. You, of course, would know that, being the sports nerd that you are, and I respect the hell out of it. And then the celebration you talked about. What do you make of baseball, the way they celebrate, like clinching, making the postseason, winning the division, getting through the wild card, getting through the divisional series? I can appreciate the championship series celebration, but like the Blue Jays clubhouse looked like a nightclub, for crying out loud, Mike. Like, what do you make of the way baseball celebrates those accomplishments?
Well, I mean, I think two things really hit me, Tom. One, it really depends upon, I think, the team and what they're setting out as far as their goals. And I think, number two, baseball is such a long season where you are compartmentalizing your goals in a day-to-day box, and you're doing this over and over for 162 times out of the year. It can be monotonous. And, I think when you go back to point one, depending upon what team you choose, there are some teams who have set a goal to just get into the postseason and then see what happens. In this case, the Mariners. So I don't really blame them at all for going crazy, going bananas, and going bonkers for popping bottles as much as they did. They did so as well, not just for winning their own division, but for getting into the postseason. It's only happened once previously in 24 years. The Blue Jays also another exception here to this. They go to the World Series as much as, say, the Dodgers do. In this day and age, I can't believe I'm saying this here, but the Astros do as well. Other teams who are there over and over and over for the last 10, 15 years. But then there are some teams, and I use the Dodgers as an example. It's really admirable, because for the last 15 years, they've turned this into like an automatic postseason berth. But 15 years ago, they were a bankrupt organization and brand new ownership, and they got it. So when they first won their own division, they went crazy. They went and jumped into the pool in Arizona to celebrate. Now it's like you'll toast a glass for some champagne. It's a muted celebration, but you're really saving the big party here for the big moments that matter, like when they win the NLDS, when they win the NLCS, and then definitely the World Series. So it's a bit of a different, I think, level as far as what the bar is and where expectations are. And I think it really depends upon, the feel and the dynamics of, team to team. So I've got no problem with it. But again, it really depends upon, I think, the actual goal that a team certainly sets, and I think where they can make it appropriate.
Well said, Mike Benton from the Kraken Audio Network. There is a hockey game we do need to discuss tonight as we get set for the Oilers and the Seattle Kraken. Get us up to speed on Seattle. Lane Lambert takes over behind the bench. A 4-2-2 start. A lot of people saying, hey, look out for the Kraken. Why the good start? What is the biggest change with Lambert behind the bench as opposed to what we saw from Dan Bylsma last season, Mike?
Lane Lambert has changed the DNA of this team, Tom. Plain and simple. He has changed the DNA of this team and has done it in very short order. I've had a chance to make my way around the room, and the general consensus, the general feedback is that Lane Lambert's one of the most fun coaches that this team has ever played for. Talking from player to player to player. And in this case, I wanted a conversation with one of the forwards on this team, and the first compliment that Lane Lambert gets for what he does and helping drive home the message is that he's a straight shooter, and that where your position is, where you stand in the lineup. He's got a certain direction that is driven home to how he wants the system to be played, and these guys have wasted no time in really buying in and gripping onto it, and that's the biggest key here is buy-in, because when you bring a new coach on, it's like you're kind of more or less rebooting your own team's software. And this can take about 3 to 4 weeks to get really into place. So we're already seeing, I think, some advanced signals that they're already there and they're locked in. I think ultimately with Lane Lambert, it's about the structure that he wants them to play. There really is no much freelancing with how they manage the puck. Everyone knows what they have to do when they find the exit lane to break out of their own zone. But this is not exactly driving this all the way back to, say, the 90s Devils and trap hockey, where they're trying to win games 2-1, and they're only limiting about 15 shots a night. He wants to keep a part of this team's game in place from previous years, in that he wants them to play with speed and play with pace, but do so under the conditions of where players can certainly read the correct play. And an example I use for this is a guy like Brandon Montour, who they just got back after a very emotional absence. But as far as the game for Brandon Montour, I asked Lane Lambert this back when the season first began. And for a guy who had career highs in goals last season on the blue line, you kind of ask the question, you go from one extreme to playing a freelancing system now to maybe moving the needle back a little bit. So what can you expect as far as how much of a leash that Montour has to hit the puck? What Lane Lambert told me is that he still wants him to feel free to play his game, but to read the conditions in where it certainly matters to try to push the pace or stay back as well. And so I think that's just an example of how much he's been able to drive this home really in speedy fashion and get these guys on the same page. And part of the DNA, Tom, I'll wrap this part up here, is that there's an extra level of physicality that we haven't seen on this team. And I think it certainly speaks volumes when you can go toe-to-toe like they did last Saturday with the heaviest team in the league in Toronto, and then get their goaltender talking about your team in a post-game press conference that really had the feeling of a full-blown meltdown. And, I look at that and I think if you can get them talking about you and where they're making life rough in your crease and Joey Decor is taking a walk in the park down the other way, you're really doing a lot of things right as far as what this team wants to do and how they want to play.
Hey, I have a lot of time for Brandon Montour, Mike. So seriously, I think he's a tremendous defenseman. I thought he was a great pickup for the Kraken. All right, guys to look out for from a Seattle perspective. I know they picked up Mason Marchment. I'm looking at the lineup for tonight. Berkeley Catton looks like he's on the top line. Why? I know I've heard a lot about Yanni Neiman. Just give us the scope of what's going on with this roster right now and why it's clicking going into this game against the Oil.
Well, they're looking pretty good, and this is all considering that they're still missing some key bodies, Tom, and that Jared McCann is on IR still. Capo Caco, he's making progress, but won't be available here for, I think, maybe at least the next week, and he's still on IR. Freddie Gaudreau, who's a jack-of-all-trades center, he's out hurt, and then you have Capo Caco, who hasn't seen any kind of ice time yet, and he has been terrific playing Matty Beniers. So there's still, some moving pieces that they're going to have to figure out here once they become healthier and healthier, but in the meantime, it's really given players like Berkeley Catton a chance and like Yanni Newman a chance as well. Catton's come into the lineup because McCann got hurt. Catton was a bit further down the queue as far as finding some ice time. Now, he's a natural setter, but they want to play him on the wing. And certainly and I know, playing center in the NHL is like basically trying to pass the class of Hockey IQ 400, and Berkeley Catton's only 19 years of age. So to keep him up here right now, they want to see how he plays on the wing, handles board battles, but can also use his shot and playmaking ability from that aspect. And so far, he's passing a lot of tests playing with Matty Beniers and Jordan Everly. But Yanni Newman, he was kind of maybe on the bubble, I think, when training camp began, but the way he uses his size and the way he can deliver his shot, it's really paid off. He's already getting power play time. He's heavily used on the right flank, and he's got a major league blast that has already chipped in here for the first couple of weeks. He's got 3 goals as well. I'm really curious, Tom, in how they're going to manage the lineup here with matchups, being that we heard Chris Knobloch earlier today speak on the breakup of Draisaitl and McDavid. They're playing them apart, so you got a spine of McDavid, Draisaitl, and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, which basically means you're asking Beniers, Chandler Stevenson, and Shane Wright to go toe-to-toe here. This is really going to, I think, test the ability of Lane Lambert in finding his right matchup and find the most effective one here at 5-on-5. We all know the Kraken have to stay out of the box. They have done that so far. Edmonton is just lights out dangerous on the power play. Draisaitl has been just an absolute handful and then some here for this team over the years. But, I'm really curious on how they respond after coming off the road. It's their first game back at home, and there's one way that they have to play, Tom, and that's play hard. And I think if they're able to find, that feel against Edmonton and really body up, then it's going to be a very, very interesting game going, I think, right down to the wire.
Mike, I am certainly looking forward to tonight's matchup, and I love how you brought up the Stolars post-game interview, and I thought that was brilliant, the way that they got to him and how revealing he was in that post-game after the Leafs faced the Kraken. And anytime the Leafs get a little bit of a ribbing, I get a kick out of it. So this has been fantastic as always, my friend. Yeah, what? Go ahead.
Hey, you know what? I guess losing Mitch Marner wasn't the problem, was it?
Hey, well played, Mike. Okay, brother, thank you as always. Have a good broadcast tonight, all right?
I appreciate it, Tom. Thanks, man.
There you go. There's Mike Benton from the Kraken Audio Network. Big thank you to Mike for hopping on. He is on the air right now, so we pre-taped that just before we went on air for the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show. Tom Gazzola live on location, Boston Pizza, Clairview. Shout out to the Nasties who are here tonight. Cal in the Park, Sarah, Allie, the Wolf, and his crew. And then we got Wheels, Latif, and his crew. There are a couple of tables still available here at BP Clairview. A lot of prizes going to be given away throughout the night. Yes, the Jays game is on. Everybody's dialed in. Top of 7, 1-1. Freddie Freeman, can of corn to deep center field. Varsho should have it. Yes, sir. 1 out. There you go. There's your update on Toronto's team that Canada admires and appreciates and is enjoying the ride with right now. I'm just chastising. Yeah, that's an ongoing joke. Anyway, Benny, listening to Mike there, he gave it to you straight up, and they like what's going on in Seattle. They feel like they have something good here, and Lane Lambert, they like behind the bench, and it didn't go well for Lane Lambert when he was with the Islanders, briefly, and so I don't know. They've had an interesting path early on since they've come into the National Hockey League. Dave Haxtell was the coach for a few years. Ron Francis was the GM, and then they basically they demote him higher up is kind of how it went. Jason Botterill takes over as GM. They make a couple of good signings. They've had some good picks. We're going to see Berkeley Catton tonight. Joey Decourt has become their number one. They're kind of deciding between Philip Grubauer and Matt Murray a little bit. Grubauer, of course, they had signed out of Colorado, gave him a big deal when they came into the league, and that was kind of an oops. Remember they had Chris Drieger too, and he didn't last either. I don't know. It's been an interesting path for them. You thought that they were onto something when they beat the Colorado Avalanche, when the Avalanche were the defending Cup champs in the first round of the playoffs a few years ago, but still trying to find their identity, it feels like.
Yeah, they're I'm sort of made up this word, ugh. And that's kind of how I feel about Seattle. Like they're this team that like Cass was alluding to earlier about like just the decisions they made at the expansion draft. Taking the guys that they did, it kind of just put them in this middle weird zone where it's just like they're not bad to like
good point
win the draft lottery, but they're also definitely not good enough to win a cup. So it's just like this weird middle in between. They're one of those teams to me that just needs to find a direction, and I think they think their direction is towards a cup with young guys like Matty Beniers and Shane Wright and Berkeley Catton. They have some solid young pieces, but none of those guys strike me as like franchise builders and guys that are like those like okay, that's going to be a guy that wins us a Stanley Cup. I think they lack those type of guys, and you can, unless you get really lucky in drafting, you probably don't get one of those guys if it's not a top 5 pick at least. So, they're just this weird team, bunch of middle-aged guys. I like the pick for when they took Jared McCann. I thought he would explode in Seattle, and he did. But they just have a bunch of guys that are kind of just in that middle, they're a well-rounded team, I guess, but they don't have the high-end talent to win, a bunch of games. So, yeah, like I said earlier, the Oilers got to take advantage of this roster they'll play tonight. Not like they're bad, but they're all right. They've had a solid start to the year so far, probably above expectation, but I think that's going to come down as the season goes along. So, we'll see what happens tonight.
Benny, as you were breaking that down, Will Smith just blasted a solo bomb to left field. 2-1 Dodgers. And you got Teoscar Hernandez at the dish right now. Top of 7, 1 out. Gausman still on the bump for the Jays. So just a quick update there. As we get to your game day odds check, brought to you by Play Alberta. Play in Alberta. And when you do, it stays in Alberta. Safe and secure. The revenue generated from Play Alberta is redirected into Alberta's General Revenue Fund, which is used to support programs and services that Albertans rely on every day. Use the promo codes that we refreshed at the start of October. We're probably going to get something new going in November as we approach November. EST50, $50 deposit gets you a $50 free bet. Got EST Casino if you rather play the casino side of things on the Play Alberta app. That's a $50 deposit, gets you a $50 casino bonus. And then you've got EST Sports in the promo code box, and that's another $50 deposit for a $50 free bet. All right, for the odds today, the money line has the Oilers as the favorites, minus 179. Kraken out plus 150. The over-under today set at 5.5 again. Obviously, the Oil went way over that in the game against Montreal. The over is the favorite at minus 143. The under at plus 108. That is your game day odds check, brought to you by Play Alberta. Benny, I'm going to go around the National Hockey League one time here. 13 games on the schedule. We had the early game. It was the Flyers knocking off the Islanders 4-3 in a shootout. Boston getting the better of the Colorado Avalanche at TD Garden 3-2 there. Tampa 4-3 winners over Anaheim. Nikita Kucherov picks up his 1,000th point. Toronto 4-3 in OT over the Sabres. Florida blanks Vegas 3-0 in Sunrise. I was going to say Fort Lauderdale, but that would not be the correct city. Utah 6-2 winners over Minnesota. That one in Mini. Detroit 6-4 winners over St. Louis in the Motor City. And then you've got the Habs, who defeated the Vancouver Canucks 4-3 in overtime. 4-4 between the Pens and the Jackets. Ottawa absolutely dismantling Washington 7-1 in the nation's capital, Washington of the United States, not our nation's capital. Thank you very much. That one has 5 minutes remaining in the third. And then 3-3 LA and Nashville in the Music City after 2. Also after 2, Dallas and Carolina knotted up at deuces. As we'll see how that one plays out. We'll get you updated on the post-game show. The Oil and the Kraken are your late game. Benny, we've got a minute left. What do you got for me, buddy?
I'm gonna keep beating this drum. Let's see a better performance tonight. Even if it results in a loss, but they played better, I'll take it. To me, this team has a 2. Maybe the Ottawa win isn't overall lucky, but it was definitely not their best. We've seen much better. Right. The Montreal win was absolutely lucky. That Montreal should have murdered them. But the Oilers, they need to step up their game. They need to get going. And who knows? Maybe that final 10 minutes in that Montreal game is what propels them. We've been talking about the past couple days. But I just want to see a better performance tonight. Whether it's a win or a loss, just something that's a little bit more encouraging for the rest of the year, because right now it hasn't been great hockey for this team, and so hope that changes tonight.
Biggest offensive output of the season for the Oil in that win over Montreal. Wasn't pretty, but they got the job done. Quick update for those maybe listening or watching. We're not keeping tabs on the World Series. Max Muncy, another solo bomb, 3-1. The Dodgers lead 2 out, top of 7. Gausman, that might be it for him tonight on the mound. Yeah, John Schneider out there, and everybody's giving the paps and the taps to Gausman. Hey, we've seen the Jays bats get hot. Who's coming in? Farland's coming in. So there you go. There's your update on the Blue Jays. Really quickly, the Oilers lineup for tonight. McDavid centering Ike Howard and Andrew Mangiapane. Leon Draisaitl between Matt Savoy and Vasily Podkolzin on their off wings. Then you got Ryan Nugent-Hopkins between Adam Henrique and Jack Roslovic. Noah Phillips centering David Tomaszek on the left side, even though he's a right shot. Frederick on the right side, even though he's a left shot. On defense, Ekholm with Bouchard, Nurse with Wallman, Kulak with Ty Emberson, Stu Skinner is your starting netminder for the Kraken. In goal tonight, it will be Joey Decord, who has put together a good start to his season. Decord 4-1-1, while Stu Skinner is 2-2-1. Come on down to Boston Pizza Clairview. We're giving away a couple pairs of tickets tonight. One in the first intermission of the Oilers game, one at the end of the game. And Benny, one is for the Mammoth and one is for the Avalanche games that are coming up. So lots of prizing available, good times, game day specials, all that good stuff. Come check it out. Come hang out with me. Shout out to the Nasties that are here. Pardon me. And a big thank you to Michael Benton from the Kraken Audio Network, as well as everybody who watched and listened while they keep things tuned in on the World Series. Benny, great work. And for Benny Thomson and Matt Kassian, I'm Tom Gazzola saying, enjoy the Oilers and the Kraken and the rest of the World Series. Game 2. We'll see you on the post-game show. Ciao for now.